Okay, it started recording. So hello, Pablo and
Hi.
Maria, and also Mr. Ipovec. So Mr. Ipovec is from company Biro S, and he is responsible to do afterworks after architects, if I can say that. So he get the IFC from architects. It's a IFC which I sent it to you. It's a faculty for pharmacy, which will be built here in Ljubljana in Slovenia. And I think that here it's the same like we want to explain, like we already do to Mrs. Žagar from ZAC about going out or exporting IFC from ArchiCAD, and after that preparing for because Mr. Ipovec, he want to do the early calculation in Cype Plus after. So I think that we can start it. If there is something open, please come up, or you, Mr. Ipovec, or Maria, Pablo.
Maybe for the beginning, my name is Istok Ipovec. I'm working on HVAC field many years, and in this case, and I appreciate the help of Primož, that for this case, we want, or I want to do the energetic modeling and analysis about the object to fulfill the official legislations, rules. And for the energetic modeling, our goal is to calculate and analyze the annual heating demand and afterwards the primary level of energy consumption. So this is the primary goal for our work. And maybe in the second step, but for today, it's a quite big object and subject for commenting. It's a thermal analysis for dimensioning the all heating and cooling devices inside the object. But the first goal, and this is important for today, is the energetic modeling. So this is our goal with the Cype, which we want to calculate and to get the help from your software.
Maria, Pablo, I think that you understand what we want to do, yeah?
Yeah. It's true that it's quite easy when we work in a BIM environment to generate the design model, but then managing this information to do something specific, like generating the BIM energy analysis or whatever, sometimes it's not as simple. So we will try to explain to you which is the right process in order to convert the architectural model design, this IFC, in a BIM energy model in order to generate this calculation, at least with our software, with Cype Plus. Okay, I think Maria has already explained you which is a general approach. So exporting an IFC from ArchiCAD, then we have, as you may know, this IFC generally doesn't include information about, for instance, thermal reaches. So we generally pass through a software which is OpenBIM analytical model. And here we have the possibility to modify everything that has not been defined properly. So this is quite common, having interior walls defined as exterior walls, because people generally, when they are designing, they don't think about that. They don't think about the next use of the BIM model. And the goal of this software is giving us the possibility to modify everything which has been defined by the architect. This is the goal of this software.
Okay.
But you know, sometimes we get a lot of errors, like in your case. So if we have some considerations previously, before exporting the IFC from the architectural model, we can solve most of them. And I think this is the main topic of today's meeting. I'm right?
Yes, yes, you are very right. Maybe some guidelines I want to present from my side. So the first thing for energy modeling is to define zones inside the buildings, because the buildings is not consist as a one volume. So the first thing for defining is zone defining. And inside the zone, maybe you have a different temperature and other environmental parameters. So this is important for beginning, and maybe in this case you already analyze the IFC model, which you get it to your email. You receive it. Excuse me. You receive the IFC, which is it is not elaborating. And you already mentioned that we can change these qualities, but the shading of the building is also important then for analysis. And in this case of this IFC, it's just one curtain wall in front the envelope of the building. Maybe you already see this. So these are my main guidelines.
So Maria and Pablo, you are already a co-host. If you want to show something or present, you are allowed. So you can just share the screen if you want.
Only a comment from my point of view. The part of the zones, of course, is very interesting when you are doing a thermal analysis, but I think we are not yet there. First, we need to solve other issues. And then when the model is in C30+, we can talk about the temperature and everything. Okay.
So first we have to prepare the analytic model.
Exactly.
Okay.
It needs the spaces. That's the base. To be ready to read the spaces, and then you can join spaces into zones. Okay. But first, I mean, the first step is the space.
Yeah. I received your project, the PLN solution this morning, so I didn't have time to have a deep look into the project. Anyway, I have tried to open it, but I couldn't. I have the educational version, and I don't know which is the problem, but when you have an educational version, you have to translate the commercial project to educational or something like this, and I couldn't open it to your project. Anyway, we have done a kind of analysis based on the IFC, and we have identified some problems that you may solve in order to obtain the final BIM model, BIM energy model. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, so over here. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, here I have your project, but I don't know which is the problem. I couldn't open it. So I will try. Maybe I will download another version. We have an agreement, Graphisoft and Cype. They have educational versions of our educational licenses of our solutions, and we have educational versions of their solutions. But in this case, I couldn't open it, so I don't know which is the problem. Anyway, we were checking the IFC directly, and we have identified some important issues you can solve easily. Okay. First of all, well, sorry, this is BIM Vision is a viewer, and the software I have installed it in Spanish, but I will try to translate it in real time. So here, something really important when we export an IFC is verifying what we have exported. One of the most important entities when we talk about the energy analysis is the space entity. And here we can identify that your model has a lot of spaces, and they have well, they have a good shape, so they go from the bottom to the top, so it looks good. But if we check the properties, the internal properties over here, we can see there are no relationships between this space with the others. And this is something important. There's what we call space boundaries. So without this information, it's quite complicated to generate the relations between the different parts of the building. You know, generally, like in this case, we have one space, and then we have different elements that define this space. Let me, I don't know, a wall over here, a slab over here, and a window here, let's say. And maybe we have another room over there. And it's important to know which is the surface in order to calculate how the energy flows between one space and the other. So it's important having this information about the relationships between this space with the context, with the environment. And we don't have this data over here. So this is something that if you solve directly from ArchiCAD, you will solve most of the problems. And how to solve it? Okay, I think it's quite easy. I have sent to you via Zoom, via chat, a couple of images. One is this this image, and it's important because by default this data is not activated in any of the different IFC translators. So we must activate these checks in order to export this information. The most important one is this one, IFC space boundaries. Okay, so if you are not in charge of exporting the IFC from ArchiCAD, you should, or I would recommend you to share this image with your colleagues in order to generate an IFC with a space boundaries data inside. Okay, we have I think Maria already told you, we have a translator, IFC translator, ArchiCAD Cype, which has defined this information. We have already activated this data. And so if you want to import it or to download it and import it to your ArchiCAD, it could be maybe the easier option. Anyway, we don't have any problem if your colleagues want to work with a specific translator, ArchiCAD translator. They can work with them, but they should activate these other options, these ones. Okay?
Okay, I understand.
And then something important is, let me open it again over here. In some cases, we have identified some problems when we work with this translator. So here we have the IFC translator from Cype. And then here, sorry for the quality of the image, but well, here we have this option of type mapping. And in some cases, we lose the classification of these entities. We have to follow these steps in order to verify we have the right classification. So these are two basic steps in order to generate an IFC with the right information. Okay.
What does it mean, classification?
Classification is about, okay, we have a wall in ArchiCAD, and this wall will be generated as an IFC wall. You know,
okay.
If we don't have this classification defined, you know, it's the default classification. But here, let me show you. In blue, yeah. Here we have two options: is not classifying the IFC or ArchiCAD classification.
Okay.
If we don't have this classification, all the elements will be generated like IFC building element proxy, and this is IFC building element proxy. And this is a kind of a joker, because is not related to one specific entity. We can include here everything. So that's why we need to classify this information.
Okay.
But this is something that generally ArchiCAD includes it by default. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So with these two basic steps, we will improve the quality of the IFC. And we will avoid most of the problems we have in the OpenBIM analytical model. Then we have some other, we can have some other errors according to how we have defined the project. Let me give you an example. If I go to your project again and I activate all the layers, okay, here, okay. Here in this case, you have a curtain wall, which is this element, you know, and it could be used, no problem. If I hide it, we have another element, which is
wall.
Is a wall, yeah.
It's a wall.
But this wall has been defined as IFC building element part. And
Yes.
an IFC building element part could be everything. You know, the problem, one of the main challenges in BIM is the interoperability. In order to understand what is defined in another software, we need to work with the right entities. Here, what we are expecting is an IFC wall, not an IFC building element part, because according to the definition of the dictionary of the IFC building element part could be almost everything. No, not a specific wall. It could be an IFC building element part of a slab. It could be an IFC building element part of I don't know, a roof. So here it has not been defined properly from my point of view. We have another problem here, and it's quite complicated to explain, but what we are expecting in our software is having, you know, this is a section. We have here, I don't know, a person, and this is a exterior, okay? What we are expecting, or the perfect situation in our case, is having just one wall over here. So it's having one wall defining the envelope of our building. In your case, you have the IFC curtain wall over here. You have the IFC building element part, with some windows, and I think you have one or two other layers. And this is a problem for us. Well, it's not a huge problem, but it's a problem, because the space, this space, let me write, is defined by this layer, the latest layer. So we are only going to consider this layer. We will avoid the others. This is not a huge problem, because what we are doing, we are bringing is the physics data of the BIM model. You will be able to define in Cype Plus that this wall has all these layers. You know, we have this information, it's located here, but then you will have to define, okay, we have all these layers in these walls, in this element. But this is something you need to know, that in our case, we will import, we will read this element. And this element should be defined as an external wall. And this is another general problem. In this case, I will hide it again. This is also an IFC building element part. So this last one was the wall we are going to read. In this case, there is no problem, because I think the window is linked to this element. So I think we won't have huge problems. The only thing we have to know is to identify that we are going to read this information. And then we will have to define everything based on this data. I don't know if I was clear enough, but this is how
I believe I understand you, because also the architect said to me that he just put the envelope as an element, as you describe it, and it's not the entity element with all the physical entities.
Yeah.
and you want to. So my general question is: it is possible from this model, we receive it, you receive it.
Yep.
It is possible that you define the whole envelope as an element, as a wall, and then all holes into this in this wall as a window.
Yeah, I think it's not. I'm not sure. No, maybe your colleagues are really they have high level of knowledge in working with ArchiCAD, so I'm not sure. I think it's not really easy to generate only one element to define the envelope. I think this is not really easy, but it's not a huge problem because OpenBIM analytical model will not read this data. So OpenBIM analytical model will generate a basic energy analysis model with this information.
Okay.
And with this information, then we can define, or we can specify in this element, we can include the rest of the layers. You know,
Okay.
when we define
I understand, yes.
Yeah. So the idea is generating a simplified model with most of the information of the architectural model.
And what about window?
The window will be there. But let me check. For instance, the window should be defined as a window. So here what I'm going to check is, okay, let's see. Sorry, it's in Spanish. All the windows you have in your project. Look, in your case, you only have these windows as IFC window. The others windows have not been defined as IFC windows.
Yeah.
So this is a problem because we won't be able to read the windows. I think in your case, let me check, maybe this case. I think you have a hole, and this is not how it should be defined. I think you have a hole, and then you have a curtain wall in the exterior layer. So, and in this case, I would recommend you, maybe, you know, generally this is what generally happens. You identify the requirements of a system, of a software in the first project, and then in the second project, you optimize the generation. But in this case, we don't have these windows. So we will generate holes instead of windows. And this is a problem in order to obtain the real calculation. If they can generate windows in these elements, that will be perfect.
Okay.
If not, you know, OpenBIM analytical model has always the possibility of defining manually these entities, but it takes some time. That's why we always recommend to prepare the model as much as possible in the architectural model, in the architectural software.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in this case, we don't have windows in our project. We have a curtain wall, but we don't have windows.
Yeah,
so
I know.
That's a problem. Well, if they are able to generate, to include these windows in this hole, maybe there is a script defining, okay, include a window with these dimensions in all the holes you identify in my walls. Maybe that's possible. I'm not sure. Okay. What else? Something I have identified as well is if I select only the walls, these are all the elements you have in your project as IFC wall. I'm missing, as I told you, the envelope. The envelope should be defined as IFC wall, and most of the designers work in that way. And then if I click in every single element and I go to the information, here, all the walls have this parameter defining that all the walls are external. You know, the only thing we are going to identify is in OpenBIM analytical model, we will have to review which walls are external and which walls are internal. This is quite easy to change in ArchiCAD, and I'm sure they know how to change it. Let me, I don't know, create a new project. For instance, I don't know. we are talking about many things, but don't worry. This is a general approach. Then we have been working with many companies that after the first project, the second, the third, they have optimized the generation of the BIM model, and it works really fast. Okay.
Maybe in the meantime, we have now IFC model from ArchiCAD. What do you think about the possibility that we import this IFC file into the Revit, because we are more familiar in Revit, and then from Revit export for the proper energy modeling?
I think we will have the same problems.
Yeah.
Same problems. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the source, I think it's in ArchiCAD or on the site of architects. Yeah.
Yeah. I think even we could have more problems, because let's say we have ArchiCAD and then we jump to Revit, and I'm sure here we are going to lose some information. Cype is not here, but when we export an IFC from an architectural software and we import it in an architectural software too, then we lose some information generally. But so I think the proper approach is jumping directly to Cype.
Okay.
You know, some years ago we jumped directly to Cype, but then we identify that, you know, there are many different cases where we have to touch something. Like in this case, the person in charge of the energy analysis should control that the different walls have been defined correctly. If they have not been defined correctly, we have two options. First option, going to ArchiCAD and modify it. Second option, if we don't have a good relationship with our architect, we can go to OpenBIM analytical model and modify everything. This is the two different approaches. Okay, here what I was showing you is, okay, we can change it, no problem, in OpenBIM analytical model. But then here, if we go to the properties of this wall, we have this entity, which is the position, and then we can define if it's exterior, interior, or not define it. In this case, they didn't care about this parameter, and all the families they use it, they included the option of exterior. I think this is about maturity in terms of interoperability, working with, you know, having different uses of the BIM model, and finally, you know, people identify these issues. It's quite easy to work with the proper position. So if we put it, if we define it, they are interior, we will have here all these walls as interior. So we will identify in Cype correctly. If not, in OpenBIM analytical model, we can modify it. Okay. And I think this is everything I have identified. Maybe there are some other problems, but as I couldn't open the ArchiCAD model, this is what I have identified in based on the IFC. So
you see also the garage here.
The garage, yeah.
Yeah, identify the garage here also.
Yeah. So let me go to the. So here we have different levels, and I will go. I think this is the garage.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, something quite strange, but I think it won't be a problem, is here we can filter by levels. So we have one level. You know, we have this other level with only this information. So I think this level is not defined properly as well. You know, we have the possibility of working with levels in ArchiCAD and Revit, and then having the possibility of defining that this level doesn't define a floor. And what we identify here are the different floors. So that could be another suggestion in order to avoid having floors with this basic information. Look, in this other case, we have one floor, but you know, this floor includes the curtain walls of all the buildings. And you know, it's not a huge problem for us, but generally we recommend to cut this data, but it's not a huge problem.
Okay, it is not, but elaborating architects are elaborating the model as a level, you know, floor to floor. They are different. They are different workers and elaborators, floor to floor, and I believe that they are not connecting all floors together with the proper protocol or something like this.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know, but
anyway, for instance, in this case, it's quite strange, no? Because we have the level of the garage, and then we have another level with only these elements. I think this is an error.
It is not just. It is not an error because this part of garage, it's a little bit higher because the problem of the under earth water.
Okay.
And it's a different level, height of level, you know. And
yeah, I know, and this is not a problem. If we go to a section, for instance, this is a floor.
Yeah.
But you know, the Building Smart and the IFC standard defines that a floor is defined between two different slabs. But then we can have, let me show you, I don't know. We can have different levels. We can have one level at the slab level, but then we can have another level at the pavement level or at the ceiling floor level. This is not a problem. We can have a lot of different levels, but you know, there is an option in ArchiCAD and Revit where we should mark, okay, this level defines a floor. This level defines also a floor, but this doesn't define it. Okay. And in this case, they included this level as a floor, and it's not right, but it's not a huge problem for us as well.
Okay.
You know, the most important for us is, you know, having spaces, and this is, I think, the what we can solve directly. So they just have to export with these properties, and then we need to figure out how to solve the problem with the envelope and with the windows. I think solving these issues will solve the 95% of the errors of your project. I'm not sure, but I think these are the main problems.
I see the difference because difference of working with architects. So in the past, also here in Slovenia, you get the DVG, and they were not so how can I say, professional when they were creating a model, or a project. But now when we are operating with IFC and in BIM, all of these mistakes or errors are visible. So I think that they will need to do a little bit more with their work, that there is really everything in details that we can operate after.
Yeah, you are right. You know, the deliverable always has been generating drawings, and we only, I am also an architect, we only cared about creating the drawings right. But now we have another output, which is the BIM model. And we don't have the background in order to generate this IFC model and define it properly. This is something we will identify with the experience. So I'm sure in the next project, they will consider, okay, how we should define the walls, the envelope. Are we going to use it for energy analysis? So we have to consider that, because I'm sure for them it's not a problem defining the information in just one element. But if they didn't know this use of the BIM model, I understand they didn't care about that. So I don't know,
Mr. Ipovec. So when the architects get I don't know, the job to create this project, is it also inside how to define IFC or BIM, or is not?
No, it was not the question that defining anything. Now we are in a level of preparing the documentation for execution, execution plans. So, and that's why I want to prepare everything also for the energy modeling. And as you, as I understand, and as you explain, somehow the architects must be informed for which level will be used this model, because the model has some logical purpose if you define how to. It is not just it is not a question of form. It is the question of information you get from the model. For me, as a HVC designer and energetic designer, it is important information.
Sure, sure. You need to have as much as possible information to create a model. So as I see, so if they are not focusing on that I don't know, the wall and the floor are together, and this kind of thing, so they need to do more focusing in IFC modeling, something like that. Yeah.
But the discussion today's discussion is to accept this model and to repair, or it is better to inform the architect to improve the model, and what is the best way, you think?
Yeah, it depends on where we put the red line. From my point of view, the spaces should be there, because if not, with this type of project, with the scale is quite big, it will take a lot of time to define all the spaces in OpenBIM analytical model from your side. So this should be in the IFC. Then about the rest of the issues, it's up to you. You can decide if we can throw the ball to their side or to solve this problem directly in our solution OpenBIM analytical model, but you should be aware that you will have to draw again all the windows in your project. You know? So it's up to you. Spaces is mandatory. The rest depends. For instance, changing the what we told you, what we were talking about, defining the function of the walls as in exterior or interior. It takes, we can select all of them, and it takes maybe 2 minutes. So it's not a huge problem. You know, so I don't know. Maybe you can ask them, because we need to clean a little bit all the issues we have in your project. With this problem of spaces, we will solve a lot of them. Then we should focus on the envelope. And here it's up to you. You can ask them to solve this generation of the envelope, or you can do it by yourself.
So you suggest to define all spaces inside the envelope?
Yeah, the spaces are already there. The only thing we need is to activate to include extra information in these spaces. So
which you explained at the beginning.
Yeah, the 3 different options, the 3, the space boundaries. It takes less than 30 seconds for the architect to generate the IFC again with this information. So that could be the first step. Then you can make a second check, and then identify some other problems. But I will recommend you to inform them for future projects about generating, the walls or the external walls, all these issues we were talking, because if they are able to solve
windows, them, sure. So the case is that the each part of the model needs to be defined. So he need to have enough information, and he need to be separate in the way of the model.
Yeah.
So no walls and floor together, or roof or walls together, and I don't know, no windows and so on. So I think that, yeah. I think that we understand, yeah, Mr. Lipovets.
Yes, yes, at this level, very much. Very much. I believe it's somehow it is a point of my beginning or our beginning to approach the proper energy modeling. We have a tool, is a Cype tool, and my main consideration is how to approach. So first, to ask architects not to use this IFC model to repair it by myself.
No.
It is not a good solution, isn't it?
No.
Okay.
How it was defined, it's not a good solution because it will take a lot of time.
Okay.
You need to define then in open analytical model each window and so on. So you see that this model, it's not so small. If you will have I don't know, some house with 20 windows, okay, you will put 20 windows inside, creating analytical model and so on. But in this case, as you see, it's a faculty. There is a lot of information in different parts. So I think that the best way is to approach to the architects. So if they could put a higher level or with more details inside, as we said, and that the IFC structure will be properly, yeah.
Okay, that is clear. One more question about shading, because the very important thing is solar gains in consideration about the energy consumption. That means the window. So I already talked with the architects, and they also admit they didn't make a very rich elaboration with the architecture and the all wall entities, but they said that the most problem is with the window defining and the brisolae, so the shading system of, because if you want to define every brisolae and for window to be shorter, it is possible inside the Cype that we have window definition instead of the hole as it is now. Is it possible to define with only one factor that will be represent the maybe, I don't know, a monthly average shading factor, something like this? Because I have a monthly shading factors inside the legislation. You
Maria.
understand?
Okay, more or less. Well, if maybe I can share the screen. Is it okay? Let me see if I was talking about this. I'm going to show you that. I'm showing Cype Plus now.
Okay.
Is it? Okay, because, well, in this program, there are a lot of options. I have opened only an example, right? When you are in the program, first you have a library of elements. This is the concept is important, okay? Because on the one hand, you can use the type of windows as many times as you need. So there's only, if the window is repeated, you can define it only. In this case, we have the window double, you see in orange.
Okay.
All of this time we use the window, the double window, and this time is the simple window. Okay. So in this program we have types, and talking about the shading, if I understood, we can edit the windows, and here we have first the accessories. This has is related to the shading, of course. Exactly. Because you can define these accessories and say even if it's going to be always working or no, or even with a schedule. It's quite complete. You can even define a schedule for this accessory.
Okay.
Or well, as it says here, if high solar radiation incident or window. and you define the value. So there are a lot of options for these accessories. And then there's also the possibility of creating shading elements. In this case, is another the possibility is the having an horizontal overhang or a left fin or right fin. In this case, you have the different one. Sorry, because it's a bit small.
Say
But
for every type of window, in this case we
exactly.
can define this type of shadings. Okay.
That's it. That's it. So you don't need to repeat for all of the windows. If the types are well defined, this is again for me. It's important. If you think well about what you are doing, then you will be faster afterwards.
Yeah. So
with the same concept here, we have only 2 types of windows.
Yeah.
So you only do.
I just need to tell to architect, please, when you will fill the walls with the windows, just to define which type it is.
Yes.
Type 1, type 2, type 3.
Yes.
And then we can do the shadings system and everything.
More they go in details, but not to creating bigger IFC, but go in details for some parts like windows and so on, that they are defined. So the point is that every part in the model is defined. Then you will not have problems after when you will do the analyzing, when you will do the heating and so on and so on. So it's easier when you have a right model detailing in everything, something like that. Yeah,
exactly. Here, for example, we have only one type of wall, and so it's necessary to define the layers only once, because more or less what you will get is one. Imagine a type of wall with no composition. You will have to define or create the layers in Therm E+.
Okay.
Okay.
For me, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. So anything else, Mr. Ipavets? Or do you think that it's enough information for now?
For now, I believe it is very super, and I am really glad and I appreciate your help. And I hope that the results will come. As we know, with the work, everything's it's more and more better. And
so we are here, so we are open to talk about it. Please come together again with the architects.
Yes.
Be a little bit, I cannot say noisy, but be smart. Be smart and give them additional work to do it for detailing, something like that. And when you get the IFC or something, you can again send it to us, and we will check it. It's not the case, so that you are not stuck somewhere, you know, between, or why this is not working or something like that. Okay.
Okay. Many thanks to Maria and Pablo as well. And
okay. You're welcome.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Yeah. Take care.
You
Thank
too.
you, Pablo, Maria.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.